Every second of the day, public servants are hard at work helping communities thrive. From the police officer responding to a life-saving call to the city manager balancing budgets and communicating with constituents. For over 3 decades, we've been inspired by the commitment and courage of these everyday heroes. At Superion, we know firsthand how bravery and dedication better the world around us. That's why we've chosen a name inspired by a higher standard of service. To us, Superion is more than just a name. It's our challenge to reach higher, year after year. Our mission is to power a better public experience. That means being bold, inspiring our employees and customers alike to take chances and embrace new ideas. It means motivating progress, working side by side with public servants to advance their communities. Finally, it means embodying a commitment to service in everything we do, from engaging with end users each day to building new solutions that unlock a new tomorrow. Superion, powering the public experience.
Good afternoon. I am Denise Jones. Welcome to Accelerate, the only quote-to-cash event in the world. I'm very glad that you're here, and I would like to give a little bit of background on our speaker, Rita Hartman. She is with Superion, formerly known as SunGard Public Services, Public Sector, and now Superion. She has been with the company since 1998, and Superion implemented Apttus in 2011. So everyone, please put your sunglasses on.
Thank you, Denise. I don't know how you put sunglasses on with headphones. That's a big challenge. We got to switch over to my slide showing here in just a minute. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to my session. I have a lot to talk about today, so I'm going to go at the speed of lightning. And I promise at the end I'm going to show you exactly what we did with XAuthor. So you saw the video at the beginning as you were coming in, or maybe you were being greeted just to come in and sit down, put your headsets on. Our company has been around for about 35 years. We've changed our name a couple of times, but what we do is we provide software solutions to governments, and that is local governments, cities, counties, utility authorities, and we provide an end-to-end solution to those public sector companies so that they can run their business. So we basically sell software. And what I would like to do, make sure I got the right slide here, we had, when I came to the conference last year, we had several different systems. And so what we did before coming here last year is we had all these systems that were spread across the company. We had Salesforce, we had Apttus, our support team used Microsoft CRM, Dynamic, our accounting department used ChangePoint and SoftTracks, and we had all of these manual processes, all these manual spreadsheets. So when I came here last year, I got to see a demo of XAuthor, and I immediately began to think, what can we use this application for to make all of our lives easier? And so we've been working on that for a while. I went back, we had a demo, we purchased the product, and since July, we've been working on how we were going to use XAuthor. And we like to think outside the box. So we have some typical uses that we use it for, but we also have a couple unique uses, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So I have 3 things I'm going to show you. The first one is an opportunity. If you've gone to a demonstration for XAuthor, or if you have the product, you've seen this, it allows your sales reps to update their opportunities. But we also had a manual process that we did for an acronym listing, and then we actually use XAuthor to generate our quote output, which is kind of really very unique, I believe. So I'm going to run through what we did in each case, and at the end I'm going to show these to you live in our environment. So for the opportunities, we wanted to be able to give our sales force, the ability to retrieve just their opportunities, work on them, and update them back without having to go in and out of an opportunity and do them manually. And they were doing them manually. And so there was a big fire drill every time all that needed to be updated. And one of the things we wanted to provide them was that we wanted the system to know who they were, so when they logged in, they would just get their opportunities. And the other thing that we wanted to do is provide their managers the ability to see all their opportunities as well. So we actually wrote a couple different apps, one for the end user and one for each manager. So for every manager, they have their own app that brings in just their employees that work for them, so they can see all the opportunities. We have some custom fields on the opportunities, so we brought in the custom fields that they are supposed to update. We made it real clear to them. Green means they can update it, red means they can't. They sign into the app and they click Retrieve Ops, and their opportunities load right in for them. They can update anything in green and then use that button that you see on the bottom half of the screen to save that back to Salesforce.com. If you've seen a demonstration of XAuthor, you've probably seen this. The next one I'm pretty proud of. We had this manual process where we would update a spreadsheet every time a product changed in Apttus. And we did this for our admins across all those systems that you saw on the slide earlier, where we had all those different pieces, parts, and everybody needed to know when we added a new product code or when we added a new product. And so we were doing that manually. We would add a product to Apttus, we'd send an email to the person down at the front desk, she'd update this manual spreadsheet, which is really, really ugly. So this is just one page of the spreadsheet, but you can see we have multiple tabs across the bottom, and every one of those tabs represented one of our product lines. And so the product would find its way to that tab and then find its way to a section, and it was very laborious, and everybody was doing manual work. So I thought, what can we do to make this automated? So I added 2 custom fields to the product in Salesforce. We added an acronym list and an acronym list section. And then I used the XAuthor tool to export all our products and fill those in and import it back in, update it. And so now every product is assigned to an acronym tab and a section. And then once I had that populated, I was actually able to write an XAuthor app that when you click on it, it populates every one of these tabs that you see across the bottom automatically. So everything that was on that spreadsheet that we did manually now populates directly out of the system. Everything matches, which, as you can imagine, it didn't match when we did it manually. And I also have it set up so that when it runs, it creates a PDF and then we just post that to Chatter in content. This one took a little bit of effort because every section of every tab required a different display map. The next one that we did was the quote document. Now, we didn't do this by ourselves. We engaged managed services, and they helped us to write this particular app. It's very complicated. I have my programmer down here in the front row, and he can attest to how hard that app has been written. Lots of macros and lots of different things coming in. But what we wanted to do is replace Crystal Web Server, which is what we used to create our quote document. So we wanted to be able to pull all the information from Salesforce and create this beautiful looking quote document that allowed us to generate it automatically out of Salesforce and attach it to the quote. So this is what the old quote looked like. And I apologize, I had to pixelate out our products. We're not allowed to really let you see that information. But you get the idea that this is what is being generated out of a Crystal document. And then this is what the app looks like in Excel, but our end users never see this because we're using Presto, and they click a button and it runs the quote document and attaches it. So they never actually see this, but as admins, we see this in the background. You can see there's lots of tabs at the bottom, ways that we brought different things in, but again, our end users never see this, they actually see this. So we took some liberty at this time to kind of move some things around that we didn't like and do some things differently, but there's the first page, and you can see this quote document happens to be 15 pages long, but our summary there, I wanted you to see how we're summarizing all the products on the quote. Okay, so are you ready to see this live? Maybe? Oh, okay. You all asleep out there? Okay. The first one I'm going to show you is this is the opportunity. I am signed in as me, so I am going to pull my opportunities. So it knows that it's me, so all I have to do is click this Retrieve Ops button, Now, I'm not a salesperson, so I don't have a lot, but we have salespeople that load in and have, quite a few opportunities that come in. I can update these very easily. The nice thing about it, if you haven't seen this before, is that any place where you had a drop-down, the drop-down still looks back to Salesforce and Apttus and allows you to update those things the way they should be if they were using the user interface. If they update something and they want to save it, they simply save it back by clicking that button. So it works really, really well, and we had to clean up some old opportunities, and they really, really appreciated the fact that they didn't have to go in and out of all these opportunities once we rolled this out to them. The next app I'm going to show you is, I'm going to show you the acronym list, and it just runs. So when I select it, it just runs. You don't have to touch any buttons or do anything. So let me just click on that. And this takes a few minutes to run because it's a really big app. So if you just give it a second here, it'll populate all these tabs momentarily. We have over 5,000 products in the system, so you can imagine it takes a minute for it to go grab that information. There we go. So it goes and pulls live products out of the system. And notice it loads every one of these into the sections that they belong in. And I've got it set up so it prints to a PDF. It's actually 77 pages long. But you're able to go in and set up all the printing on it. I color-coded each product line so they know when they're flipping through here that they know they've switched to a new product line. So every product line has a different color. Every one of these sections is a different display map. And that's how we're able to bring all those different products in. The last one I'm going to show you, I'm going to go to Salesforce. This is a quote out of our sandbox. And if we click this generate button, it's going to go out and run the quote document for us. So we're using Presto. The first thing it does is ask us if we really want to do this. So your end user can decide they don't want to do this. The nicest thing about this is it runs in the background. It takes them back to the quote and attaches the document right to the quote proposal for them. So now I can click on the notes and attachments and bring it up. And we can see what the quote document looks like. So this looks a little bit better than the screenshot I had because you can see it live. But that saves them a step. With the Crystal Report Viewer, they actually had to save it down and attach it to the quote proposal manually. So they were really, really happy that they aren't going to have to do that anymore. All right. So what I would say, I went really, really fast. But what I would say is when you're thinking about using XAuthor, think about things that you can use it for that are not necessarily the normal items you'd use them for. I mean, everybody's going to want to use it for opportunities. We also use it to update accounts, so they can add contacts and do things like that. Those are all probably things that you can see, and out in the community you see people using it that way. But think about the things that you do manually in a spreadsheet that you can now do using XAuthor automatically. The nice thing about XAuthor is that it attaches to objects that you can't necessarily report on in the Salesforce org. So we went really, really fast, Denise. But we're going to have I guess, where did Denise go? Oh, there she is. We were going to have to leave the room because we were going to be short on time, but I think we don't necessarily have to leave the room. So Denise has some swag for you all if you want to ask a question or if you just want some swag. She's coming back up with her. Do any of you any of you already own X, that's okay.
So what I'll do is if you'll raise your hand to ask Rita some questions, I'll walk to you and you can ask the question. Go up here. Of course, you're on the other end of the room. I'm coming.
Hi, do you guys have any challenges of using Mac versus PC?
We don't have any Macs in our organization, so I would have to say no, we don't have any challenges with Macs.
Yeah, I do understand that the Xauthor for Excel, it doesn't support certain features if you use Mac.
Yeah, we're all 100% PC shop, so we haven't experienced that.
Hi, how did you populate all the products for your Acronym app?
So I exported them I pulled them down
Right.
into an Xauthor app, and I used the product family to populate the spreadsheet once I had them down,
Okay.
and then I saved it back up.
Okay, so did you save them in Data Loader, or did you use Xauthor?
Xauthor.
Awesome, very cool.
Xauthor. Yeah, so I brought them down, the fields were blank. I filled the fields in based on the product family that I also brought down.
Yes.
And then saved it back up. And we had some I had to go back through and change them because I didn't get it right the first time. But I was trying to do it in mass, so where I would sort by product family and put them all in the same tab. So that's kind of how I approached it, and then as I looked at each list and I built the app, I was able to see, oh, this product doesn't belong here, and I could move it.
Awesome, very nice. And then for the quote creation, how did you attach the PDF from Xauthor into Salesforce?
That's a separate product purchase, and I don't know the technical pieces behind it. I just know it's called Presto. So we purchased, in addition to Xauthor, we purchased licenses to Presto, and that Presto piece allows you to generate the document in the background and automatically attach it. You're welcome.
Hi. Do you use the CPQ, that means Apttus CPQ?
Yes.
Any reason you are not using the CPQ to generate the code, but you use the Xauthor for Excel?
We were not using the typical setup of Xauthor Word for our quote document because our end users did not like what it looked like. They wanted to be able to have a table. So we had a programmer who spent many hours. I won't even pretend to guess how many, and built a document in Crystal. And then we used Crystal Web Viewer to pull that information out of the quote, and so they have a little button they click, and it runs. And it has lots of issues. That's why we needed to get off of it. It caches, so if they make a change to the quote document and then they go run it again, they get double lines. I mean, there's just a lot of issues with the Crystal. Yeah. The totals didn't add up sometimes because he missed, a section on the quote. So we just had a lot of issues with it. We had to get away from it.
So great questions. What I wanted to let you know, I know everyone received a book. These are autographed copies from the author and our CEO, Kurt Crapet. So I've got 2 books left and I've got 1 question, so think about your questions.
Hi, so in the end you mentioned that some of the things that you put into Xauthor aren't reportable in Salesforce. Can you explain that a little bit further?
Absolutely. So we have all those systems, right, that you saw. We have ChangePoint, we have SoftTracks, and we have some back office integration that was written by our IT department using custom objects. So you go to report on those and you can't report on them because they're custom objects. So we had an issue come up where we had some data from that back end connection that put the same product code on all the products. And we're like, uh-oh. So I was actually able to use Xauthor to pull that object in and do a VLOOKUP in the other tab of the spreadsheet to fix those that they messed up. So it's just thinking about things like that you don't normally would think about when you're looking at having to take your entire staff to look at every product because the SKU was wrong. Yeah, I got that email. I was like, oh, we'll never get anything else done but skewing.
All right, fantastic. And I have 1 last question over here. Great questions, by the way.
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks. Okay, we actually have to pull our opportunities into a spreadsheet and send them to a partner of ours, and then they update them and they have to come back to me and I have to import them back into Salesforce. Is there a way to, when we send that spreadsheet off, if we're going to use Xauthor to import it back in, is there a way to only I don't know, I don't want them to have changed some fields that they're not supposed to. So how do I monitor where you said, you showed the different colorations of how they could, what they could change it and what they couldn't change. Does that actually stop them from changing them, or is it just their knowledge?
It stops them. So when you build an XAuthor app, you have a display map. It says, here's all the fields I want to display on a spreadsheet. And then you have a save map. So I can have 25 fields on the display map, and I can say, you can only update these 10. So if you don't put them on the save map, it's never going to go back up.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent session, Rita. Thank you so very much. If there's additional questions, there is a room right behind us here. We're more than welcome to take more questions. In the meantime, have a great event. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming, everyone.